What's up, peeps? So today I want to talk about anger, man. Anger. Like for real, like anger. I think we need to take a deep dive on this today. Like for real, like really look in the mirror and fully examine ourselves and figure out where in the world we are and how we're going wrong and what we need to do in an appropriate way to move ourselves or push ourselves or catapult ourselves in the right direction. Because what you're doing up until this point in time is not working. What I've done up until this point in time is not working. I'll tell you this story. So I was at church a few Sundays ago. I think it was right before Thanksgiving. And I'm sitting there and God just convicts me. He said, Charles, because if you don't know, the backstory. So I deal with some anger issues. Sometimes I tend to hold things in and I blow up. Or there's certain things that set me off, and I have a very low tolerance or low patience for certain things, right? And I get even sometimes I get angry with God, like, God, why is my speaking career not where I want it to be? Why am I not getting all the gigs that I want to get? And God said, Charles, first of all, let's think about it in this way. You need to diagnose yourself and examine yourself and see who you are as a man. And are you using the gifts and the talents that I have given you in an appropriate way to magnify me and let people know that it's not you who is blessed, but it is I who blessed you to get to them and bless them. Because what I know and I need to understand, and this is for a lesson for everyone, is that our gifts are not for us. They're for us to bless the world. Blessings flow through us, not only to us. So let's get that out the way. And so, you go and you look at things and God said, Charles, you know what? You are so focused on negativity at times. And I think it's crazy. I'm sitting here holding up the L. Charles, you're so focused on not taking the L that you fall for it every single time because you can only gain what you are focused on. But if you are focused on helping the people that you are talking to more than not taking the L, if you are focused on ensuring that the people that you're talking to gets the right message and with the right impact and the right tonality with the right voice so that they can properly change their lives. Charles, if you focus on reaching their hearts and minds and not how well you perform, you would get the dub every time. So that's the second part. The third part is this. The opposite emotion of anger is what? Passion. Charles, if you focus less on your anger and properly rechannel that energy into passion, you will be a far better speaker than what you are currently. That when you step on stage, the atmosphere, the aura would change simply because you're not speaking from anger. Charles, yes, your mother wasn't the best mother. You can no longer use that as an excuse to be angry. Now you need to use that as a reason as to why you can make an impact, because that passion that you have for people for children and youth who are out here learning how to be an adult, figuring it out on their own. That's what needs to come across. Nobody cares that your mom was a perfect mom. Nobody cares that your dad wasn't always a part of your life. Nobody cares that you had to learn how to be a man on your own. Nobody cares that you were kicked out of school. Nobody cares that you failed the class. Nobody cares about your military career. Nobody cares about any of that. But if you package that thing up in a way that they can properly learn and take lessons from your life in a positive way, that's what they care about. Charles, you are in the business of marketing. You are in the business of repackaging something that was tragic, something that was negative, something that negatively impacted your life, and you have to rebrand and repackage that thing and put it in a positive direction. Yes, my mom wasn't the best mom, but she did the best that she could do. And it is my job as a son to respect her in every way that I know how. I am not judge. I am not jury. I am not executioner. That is only God's title. I am just a man. I am just a son. I'm Charles Johnson living in the physical form on this planet. It is not my job to crucify my mom daily to make her feel a certain type of way, as if she needs to fix who she was. Because what I need to understand, and if I have empathy, that I don't walk in her shoes, and maybe I need to look at things from her perspective. Maybe I need to look at things from my dad's perspective. Maybe I need to look at things from my grandfather's perspective, my grandmother's perspective. Maybe I need to stop using the things that have happened to me in life as a crutch and use it as a catapult, as a trampoline. Because what I need to recognize is that my life is not my own. And certain things happen to me for a reason. Because maybe, just maybe, if life was too easy, I couldn't speak as passionately as I need to get a point across. Why? Because there will be no emotions behind the words that I speak. Why do something if it means absolutely nothing? Man, your boy's sitting here sweating. I'm putting energy into this. And so what God convicted me on is that, Charles, energy is neither created nor destroyed. So that anger energy that you have can easily be turned into that passion energy that you have. That negative energy that you currently have can easily be transformed into that positive energy that you need to get your point across, to make things happen, to be a change catalyst. You see, man, let me take this hat off. You cannot start focusing or continue to focus on the things that have happened to you in your life. Because if you focus on those things, you usually end up becoming those things, because you are what you think. Or as I like to say, you are what you focus on. See, what I needed to understand in that moment is that if I continue to focus on my past and the things that have happened to me, I would repeat the cycle all over again. That my children will repeat the cycle all over again. But if I focused on how I can become a blessing, or how I can turn my anger into a blessing, or how I can turn my life into a blessing, instead of focusing on me and what has happened to me, maybe, just maybe, I need to focus on how can I utilize what has happened to me to help people understand how he got me through what has happened to me. Or how I can help people learn from what has happened to me. How can I help people avoid what has happened to me? Guys, if we focus on not being poor, instead of focusing on how we can better serve the community around us, 9 times out of 10, we're going to end up poor. Because poor is your focus. I don't want to be in poverty any longer. You're going to end up in poverty. Instead of saying, you know what? I want to go to school so that I can be the best doctor that I can possibly be. I want to be the doctor that cures cancer. I want to be the doctor that cures diabetes. I want to be the doctor that cures obesity. I want to be the doctor that cures some type of mental illness. If we focus on those things, we'll become those things. But if we say, you know what, I want to be a psychologist simply for the fact that I know psychologists get paid well. So if I, do this for this amount of time and go to school for this amount of length of time, then I won't live in poverty anymore because this is how much I would get paid. The why is all types of messed up because everything still depends on what you're focusing on. And what you're focusing on is still poverty. I've never seen a rich person become rich focusing on not being rich. They didn't say, you know what, I want to make $1 billion. Let's take Jeff Bezos, for instance. Jeff Bezos didn't say, you know what, I'm tired of being broke, so I'm going to create this store that sells books and competes with Barnes & Noble and Books A Million, and I just want to use that platform to make billions of dollars. No. There's a reason. You look at the story of Amazon. In the corporate room, they have an empty chair. And that empty chair represents the customer because they want people to always have in mind that the main objective is to better serve the customer. So Jeff Bezos was putting in his employees the same thing that he knew. If we focus on what the customer needs and what the customer wants, instead of saying, I want to be the best bookstore, no, I want to best serve the customer in the way that they need me to serve them, they will accomplish that mission. Amazon would not, I guarantee, Amazon would not be where they are today if the customer was not the focus. Amazon would not be where they are today if the empty chair was not in the corporate room. Amazon would not be where they are today if they focused on being just a rich retail bookstore and instead of saying, you know what, I just want to best serve the customer in the way that they best need to be served. Let me get all the data I need so that the customer can tell me exactly what they want and exactly how they need it and the exact time frame in which they expect it to be accomplished. And by God, if I do just those three things, I would get to exactly where I want it to be. But instead of forcing myself to not be poor, I would catapult myself because people would need me anyway, because I'm focused on the job at hand and doing the best that I can possibly do and being passionate about it. Because I'll tell you the best piece of advice I got. And I gave this same advice to a young speaker a few months back. A kid, he's still in high school, getting ready to go to college. He said, Charles, how can I become better? I said, first thing, you practice. I don't care. You practice in the mirror, you practice, you start your own, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and you give speeches on there. I don't care what you got to do, but you got to practice. You have to practice. And the next thing you need to do is stop focusing on how you should perform and what you should say, and focus more on what you think people need to hear. Focus on the audience. What do they need? What do they want? Look into their lives. Take a deep dive into where they may be going wrong and understand how you can take the lessons from your own life and the things that you have learned up until this point in time and use it as a way to spotlight for them, to shine a light for them on the areas in which they can utilize the lessons that you have learned in the areas of life, the areas of life that they're looking to get better in. Focus on the person, focus on the objective, focus on the mission. Don't focus on you. And it's hard because human beings, we inherently want to be selfish because we're selfish. We're always looking at self-preservation. We're always looking at self-preservation. How can I preserve the life that I currently have? How can I preserve the life that I'm currently living? How can I live longer? How can I live healthier? How can I? Everything's I. If I say more of you in a positive way, then the world will say, you know what? We need you. We need you because you're different, because you're not like everybody else. You're not just so focused on yourself, but you actually and you genuinely care about the next human being. And it's authentic because they understand empathy. And you stick out like a sore thumb. Why? Because the world isn't inherently selfless. The world is inherently selfish. And so these are the things that I've just been convicted on, man. And it's like, wow, bro, Charles, did you give everything you have in those speeches that you gave, or did you just perform because you're good enough to? Because you're good enough to. Or when you went and spoke to them, did you give it your all? And I'm not just talking about the energy, but I'm talking about, did you bring that rage, that anger, and did you transform that rage and that anger into passion so that you can better impact the audience and better get your words out and help them feel the bass in your voice so that when you speak, they have no choice but to listen and understand, because they understand the emotions that are behind the words. Because people don't buy what you're selling. They buy why you're selling it and how it makes them feel. Like the old mattress company used to say, I can't remember the name of the company. And I remember my accounting professor, she says this all the time. She says, people don't buy mattresses. They don't buy a mattress. They buy a good night's sleep. How does it make you feel? People don't buy Nike or Adidas or any other shoe brand because, I just want that brand. No, how does it feel when I walk in them? How does it feel when I run in them? How do they feel when I work out in them? The same thing with clothes. So how are you impacting people at the end of it all? Because that's the things that people will remember. People will remember how you made them feel in those moments. How were you able to communicate your emotions through word, through speech, through your work, whatever it is? Did you properly redirect your past energy into a new channel and redirected it into a positive energy? Yes, bad things happen to you. But when you get to that hospital in the morning and you take care of that patient, you put all that passion and you bottle it up and you give that patient the best service that you can possibly give them. You give that audience the best speech that you can possibly give them. You give that classroom the best lesson that they have possibly heard. And you come in with that fire and that passion and that motivation, that inspiration, because you come from something and they should be able to feel the emotions behind it. Because you know how damaging it can be if you use that energy inappropriately. And that's the crazy thing about it. There is no negative energy that we have on this planet that isn't not intended to do harm. It's always destructive. Anger is destructive. Rage is destructive. But if we redirect that energy into a positive energy like passion, it has nothing else to do but build people up, to build a scaffolding, a foundation that people can stand upon and begin to learn from and reach higher than they have ever reached before, because that passion had built them up. You don't tear them down. That if I bottled up that anger and that rage that I had, that negative energy that I've been harboring this entire time, and I redirected it in a positive way, I had no choice but to build people up. Instead of being so destructive and chaotic and tearing people down emotionally and mentally and physically and saying what people can't do and how people have pissed you off and made you angry, now I build you up and say you can do it. You can go beyond. You can get beyond it. You can climb over the obstacle, break through the ceiling. Why? Because I've done it. I've done it. Man. So I've decided that I need to take this thing in a new direction. And I have, it's my responsibility, because I've been given this gift, to ensure that I go on a journey. Now I want you to hear me now. Oftentimes we run away from the most painful memories in our life because we think that it has just only a negative connotation on it. And I'm not saying that people should just inadvertently, start writing down or jotting down the worst of their lives. That's not what I'm saying. If not constructed in a organized and professional manner, you probably need to go get somebody to help you do this, somebody who's a professional at helping people do this, but to reconstruct your past so that you can start to not only understand it, but redirect that energy, because that energy still exists. Those daddy issues, those mommy issues still exist. That hatred, that rage, that anger that you feel still exists. It hasn't gone anywhere. You just bottled it up and pushed it down deep. It's still there. But if you go on a journey, man, to start exploring those deepest, darkest parts of yourself and experience those emotions and that energy, and you start to redirect it towards the things that you want to accomplish in life, I promise you there is nothing that you can't conquer and overcome. The reason why we all feel so tired and so beat down and burned out all the time is not because we don't have the fuel. We have plenty of fuel in the reserves. We just decide to harbor it because we think that it can only be used for destructive motives, when we can always make the choice to redirect it. Energy is not destroyed, but it is transformed. That same feeling that you had when you felt abandoned, when you felt betrayed, when you felt belittled, when somebody did you wrong, that same energy still exists. It hasn't went anywhere. You need to learn how to redirect that energy into positivity, rechannel that energy into positivity. You got this, man. You got this. And that's the lesson I want for you all today. Don't avoid these things, man. They're going to tear you up on the inside. Believe me, I know. You take all that destructive energy and you bottle it up and you push it down deep, and it just rots. And it's corrosive. But if you put a control valve on that thing, and you begin to just let it out and redirect it into positivity, I promise you, you'll be a better student. You become a better teacher. I'll become a better speaker. You become more passionate. You start to feel better because you're not just holding all this corrosive anger and hatred within you, but you begin to release it in a healthy way, not to be destructive or help people be stuck in the past or remind people of the things that they used to be to you. No, but you begin to forgive, and you begin to understand that that same energy can be utilized for good, and it's not destructive, and you can redirect it to build people up. And in the process, when one rise, we all rise. You'll build yourself up in the process. But you got to focus on the positive. Do not focus on the negative. You have to focus on building people up. Do not focus on becoming better than who you were. Focus on becoming what you need to be for the world to be better. Focus on becoming who you need to be for the world to be better, for the intended audience to be better. Stop focusing on you. It's not about you. Guess what? I'm going to tell you right now, you get out here in this real world, nobody cares about you. What they care about is how you can do something for them and how you can make them feel, how you become an asset to their life, how you can prosper in their life, how you can multiply their life, and whatever means and whatever motives and whatever area of their lives that they need those things and those multiplications to happen. Nobody cares about what happened to you. No one. So what? And that's callous, and that's harsh, and I apologize. But we need to get beyond these temporary emotions, these manufactured emotions that focuses just purely on ourselves. How can we begin to utilize that same energy to help others? It does me no good to hold in all my life's experiences, negative and positive, for me. But if I can put this thing out into the world in a positive way and say, you know what? Yes, these things happen to me, but I no longer depend on them to help me feel better about myself or to give myself an excuse as to why I can't grow and get beyond and go further than I thought previously. If I can't use those things as an excuse any longer, I must begin to use them as momentum, as an impetus to say, you know what? This is now fuel. This is now the impetus. This is now the catalyst to help not only catapult my story, catapult myself, catapult my future, but more importantly, do the same for others. Do the same for others, because reciprocity is a human trait, human experience. If you help somebody else, people feel like it's their responsibility to reciprocate, to replenish. So take that energy, man, all those past experiences, and begin to replenish the world. That's what we need more now than anything else. Replenish and reciprocate. We all need to take an R&R, and I'm not talking about rest and relaxation. We all need to begin to reciprocate and replenish. And at the end of it all, guess what? You build loyalty, you build trust, but people will turn around and they will reciprocate the actions that you have done for them and begin to replenish you. Not with just negative energy, but they'll start to feed you all that love and the joy and the passion and the happiness that they feel about themselves because you help them feel that way, and they'll help pull that negative energy out of you and replace it with positivity. Ladies and gentlemen, you all are awesome, amazing, wonderful human beings. Don't let anybody tell you anything different. Have a good one.
You, me, or nobody is gonna hit as hard as life. But it ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take and keep moving forward.
Yo, give me 50 feet. I'm just trying to eat. I ain't gotta tell you what I got. I'm a G. Body frontin' like they so straight. I don't really care cause I be on it. Got it black, did it resonate? Screaming YOLO, rockin' polo, we the fate. Everybody frontin' like they so straight. I don't really care cause I be on it every day. On it every day.
Everybody loves a hero. I believe there's a hero in all of us.